Grand Rising, my loves. This is your girl, Lippers Queen, coming at you. You know, this has been on my mind. As I always say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now they want to kill us. They kill us really legally because they infiltrated the police department. It's a damn shame how they murdered that boy. That's all it was, cold-blooded murder. I want y'all opinions on it, family. Tell me what you think about it. They're going to always put the nigga up there first.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here. Before I start, though, I'll let you know up front that the family's attorneys are here. They're present. They will not be taking any questions here during the press conference in this room, in this space. We ask that you please be mindful of that. They'll be immediately available to answer any questions at the conclusion of the press conference. My name is Michael Miller. I am the Public Information Officer for the acquisition. And through press conference you'll be hearing from three speakers today: Akron Mayor Dan Gordon, Deputy Mayor of Intergovernmental Affairs Marco Somerville, and Akron Police Chief Stephen Mylett. After hearing from these speakers, you will see two videos. I'll say up front at the start of the second video for approximately 30 seconds, family, because the device itself, when you activate it, it goes back 30 seconds. It captures no sound, but it picks up the recording 30 seconds before the incident or the recording. The first video will be narrated video of the incident, starting with the pursuit. It will include some still shots.
Put the black man up there first. The one I called on the phone. Then they bring the white up there.
We have an awful lot of footage, which will begin
Talk to me, family.
At the start of the pursuit, and will end with the shooting. The video will be played from start to finish without pause, and will show the incident in real time. At the end of our press conference today, we will provide an opportunity. Each outlet represented here today will have an opportunity.
They just murder us in cold blood.
Available.
They call it doing the law.
That will contain or include a map of the pursuit, a timeline of the incident, a transcript of the dispatch conversation during the pursuit, and basic information on the officers involved, including race, gender, years of service, and disciplinary record, if any. At the conclusion of the press conference, we'll be putting out a press release as well, and all body cam footage will be available. According to the city ordinance, we're required to release three body cam footages within the first 7 days. We're going above and beyond that today due to the unique circumstances, and we'll be releasing all of the body cam footage in a short period of time after the press conference. This includes the 8 officers who were directly involved in the shooting, and additionally 5 other officers who were on scene but did not participate in the shooting. At this time, I would like to welcome Akron Mayor Dan Morgan to the podium.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Hey, Bud, how you doing, love?
Well, good afternoon.
Tell me what you think about this situation.
For all of us and for the entire city. Before I begin, let me again.
I'm seeing YouTube gonna flag me for this.
I know that no amount of grief or prayer will bring Jalen back, but please know that the city mourns with you. Personally, there are no amount of superlatives.
So I might as well go on state. I have no copyrights to this content. This is a news broadcast talking about the murder of a young black man in cold blood.
I have a number of questions that need to be answered. But what I'd like to stress to the community, please, is that the independent, which is being the investigation, which is being conducted independently by an entity requested by Chief Mylett, which is the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and the Attorney General's office will take some time to work through. Our media information packet includes a rough timeline of how the investigation process will proceed, in addition to a timeline of events of this past Monday. And I am urging all of our residents, please reserve your full judgment until the investigation.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hell of an investigation.
That I can ever ask somebody to do, and that is to please be patient and let the Attorney General do their work.
Hey, Cherry.
Let me also emphasize, over a number of years, to increase the transparency and the accountability with the Akron community, knowing that trust cannot exist without our commitment to openness. Almost exactly 1 year ago today, the Akron City Council voted to enact a new law that ensures the release of video footage which documents an Akron police officer's use of force within 7 days of the incident. This ordinance was first recommended by the city's Charter Review Commission and was overwhelmingly approved by the residents of Akron. And it is clear what our community wants is to be able to review the information for themselves, and it is our commitment to be open and transparent as we can be, given the fact that there is an independent investigation which we cannot put into jeopardy. Additionally, utilizing an independent entity to conduct the initial investigation into the incident will be a further step in increasing the trust and accountability with our citizens. Chief Milet and I both believe that this is the best practice going forward, and which many communities across the country are now doing. And it is the direction that we intend to move towards in any future events of deadly force. Both the city and
I hope everyone is doing well today.
And I have every confidence that the investigation will be conducted in a fair, thorough.
As soon as I started the live stream, somebody was gonna call me. Well, that was the old man. He just left the house. But hey, he hit $1,000 on the crack off.
Right to peacefully assemble. I hope the community can agree that violence and destruction are not the answer. And let me echo the calls from a number of elected officials and community members right here in Akron that calls for peace in our cities. This will be the constant urge over the next few days, is peace in our city. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, my condolences to the loved ones of Jalen Walker. I know this young man was well loved and respected, and the weight of his loss is being felt across our city. Some years ago, when I decided to get involved in public service, public life, I had served as president of the Akron branch of the NAACP.
I'll put in the description box.
One of my concerns was the Akron Police Department, some issues that they've had. One of the problems was like taking complaints and how they were handled. So as my time from leaving the NAACP presidency and then moving to the city of Akron, eventually becoming the council president, and now I'm senior advisor to the mayor, I have worked on a number of issues to try to strengthen the relation between the police and the community. One was, first of all, hiring an outside independent police auditor, which we have in place, Mr. Phil Young. The auditor is supposed to look at trends in the police department. He looks at what we need to do training. He looks at if arrests were not handled the right way. We handle those all internally. And that has been a great start for us in this community. The other thing that's helped us also in this community, we do have body cameras for the officers. And the fact that we have that, that's why we're here today. We're able to look at the footage. The main thing we also should always look at too is the fact that we have this new ordinance that it had to be released in 7 days. The mayor could have did an executive order, but we did not do that.
What I was told, Steve, all I had to do was say something every so often into the stream.
Akron Law School chaired that committee, came with the idea along with the mayor to put it in the charter. So now, when there is a police shooting, the police department or the chief can't say, I'm not releasing it. The mayor can't say, I'm not releasing it. It has to be released. And then the voters voted on it.
What's
90%
BRB?
of the voters voted on it. And that is a huge thing that I don't think you find
I'll
any
be
other
right back.
place
Okay.
who's done that.
You know, I'm still getting used to these
That's
synonyms that y'all be using for texting and stuff.
And when it comes into police-involved shootings, that has never sit right with me in this community. And now, since we have a new chief and the mayor, they've gotten together and they have asked for outside help in investigating this case. This is huge. This is definitely not business as usual. This move for this investigation to have an outside entity ensures that it'll be the fairest, most unbiased review of the facts, and that's the right decision at the right time. We also have with us today some of our residents who are here, some of the members of the faith-based community, some citizens who've been involved in the community here for this press conference, and we appreciate them being here too.
I'll tell you, they always put religious step up there to ease the situation.
It is extremely upsetting. From here, we need to look at our process to get us to the next steps. An independent investigation at the state level will further that process. I know there's anger that when people see this video, it will cause them to become sick of it. I have a son, could have been my son. And quite frankly, our community has a right to voice their concerns and to protest. And we would ask them to do that. But what we would ask them to do, as the family is asking them to do, it's okay to protest, but we would also ask them to do it in a peaceful manner. We have asked for this type of transparency. Now we're getting into the investigation that we want. We have to be patient and allow the investigation to run its course. And remember, we're all in this together.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You got that right, Sammy. How you doing, love? Welcome. I've never seen you in the chat before.
Deputy Mayor of Somerville.
Y'all, if y'all like this content, like, share, subscribe.
Express my deepest sympathies to Jalen's family. I cannot imagine the sense of loss, the pain that they're going through right now. As Marco mentioned, you know, in his personal life, my youngest is 25 years of age as well. And I cannot imagine what life would be like without my son. So again, Mrs. Walker, Jada, I'm very sorry for your loss. But I want to personally thank you. I want to personally thank you for the way in which you have been dealing with this situation. You have asked for peace in an environment that is ripe for aggression and violence. You have asked for trust and let this process move forward.
How can y'all expect somebody to trust y'all?
Reflects the character of this family, which I continually heard that he did. He raised a good son. And again, my deepest condolences and sympathies. On Monday morning, officers of the act were involved in an officer-involved shooting. In a few moments, you will be seeing two videos that will address what led up to the shooting.
Here you go.
When I was sworn in 10 months ago, I began moving the police department in a direction to have outside independent investigations when officers are involved in a shooting. So on Monday morning,
that's right, Steve. That's right, Sammy.
The Bureau of Criminal Investigations to investigate this shooting. Some of the benefits of having an independent investigation include increased perceptions of credibility of the findings.
Murder, that's what I call it.
The public tends to trust the results and fairness of the investigation, and quite frankly, this has become best practice in my profession.
What damn investigation?
Is Mr. Joe Morbitzer, who is the superintendent of the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations. Mr. Moore,
A
I want to
circus,
thank
that's
you for
what it
being here.
is.
And also want to thank you for your willingness to take this investigation on. At the conclusion of viewing the two videos, I will share a few comments and open up the press conference for questions. Please keep in mind that as you ask your questions, Mayor Horgan and I may
There's
not be
no
able
way
to
they can
answer.
explain that to me.
First and foremost, we may not have the information. Secondly, we don't want to do anything that directly impacts the credibility and independency of this investigation. So we are going to both be mindful of how we respond. Since I just arrived here in Ohio 10 months ago, there may be questions that you ask that I will defer to our city's chief prosecutor, Mr. Craig Morgan, or Deputy Police Chief Brian Harding. At this time, we're going to play the first video, which Lieutenant Miller described to you. We hope this video will provide further context and details to the incident. Lieutenant Miller.
Huh. I mean, 80 times? Come on now. That's overkill.
On Monday, June 27, 2022, at 12:30 in the morning, Akron police officers attempted to stop a silver Buick on East Talmadge Avenue near Thayer Street. Officers informed
But they
dispatch that
have
the
to shoot
reason
80 times to
was
stop.
for a traffic violation as well as an equipment violation. The driver of the vehicle refused to stop, and officers initiated a vehicle pursuit as the vehicle was nearing the East Talmadge Avenue entrance ramp to Route 8 southbound.
This gonna go down the same way it did when they shot that man in the back of the head who they say was running.
A sound consistent with a gunshot can be heard on the body-worn cameras of the officers. Officers notified dispatch that a shot came out of the suspect's car door.
Getting on to 8 south of Talmadge. Reason for stop was traffic violation. 21 shots fired. That vehicle just had a shot come out of its door.
At the time of the sound, a flash of light can be seen along the driver's side of the suspect vehicle.
Did they actually find the gun?
The vehicle pursuit continued on the expressway for several minutes, and the suspect vehicle exited onto the Archwood Avenue ramp. The pursuit proceeded through several city streets until he neared the intersection of East Wilbeth Road and Claremont Street. At that point, the driver slowed down and exited through the passenger side door of the moving vehicle wearing a ski mask.
They're gonna always try to paint the victim as being the bad guy.
The suspect fled from the vehicle on foot, turning and facing officers momentarily. He continued to run, evading arrest. Officers attempted to safely take the suspect into custody by deploying their tasers.
So true, Sammy, so true.
Deployment of tasers was unsuccessful, and the suspect continued to flee on foot. As the foot chase reached the nearby parking lot, the suspect stopped and quickly turned towards the pursuing officers.
They're overturning all these laws. They're trying to take all the rights away from us.
Officers reacted by discharging their firearms, striking the suspect. Under visual inspection of the suspect's vehicle, a handgun, a loaded magazine for a handgun, and what appears to be a gold wedding ring were observed in plain view on the driver's seat.
I swear, it's a shame before God. But you know what? You
We will
will
now
reap
show
what you
you the
sow.
body of the officer who was first involved in the pursuit. The video will start at the beginning of the pursuit and will end with the shooting of Mr. Jalen Walker. I want to offer caution for everyone that is watching that this video may be disturbing to some viewers, to many viewers, as it contains graphic images and language. For many reasons, it is difficult to watch. At the request of the Walker family, we have blurred Mr. Walker's body in the shooting event. Lieutenant?
You better believe they don't edit some of that shit.
24 chase, slugging, tire block, 24 in for make the chase. 24 east on Talmadge, approaching Route 8 south, signal to go 8 south. Speeds are 30. Getting on to 8 south from Talmadge. Reason for stop is traffic. Violation. 21 shots fired. That vehicle just had a shot come out of its door. We're southbound on Route 8 now. Next cross going to be Perkins. Crossing the bridge on Route 8 south. Speeds of 80. Middle lane. Gold Buick. Black driver. Silver Buick. One occupant. Look like black male driver.
Yep, all because he was what? A young black man.
Black lane. 60. Man back. 24. We're okay. Notes the driver. Grabbing something and a shot came out for his door. Definitely shot out. Just passing Perkins. 8 south passing Perkins. Middle lane. Speeds are 72. Light traffic.
Shaking my head.
Speed 77, no traffic at this point. Car 1 on secondary. We're 8 south, towards 77 south, passing exit 0, just passing University. It's middle lane, speeds are 70. Now it's in the right lane, speeds are 70, light traffic, vehicles are getting over.
You got that right.
South.
They ain't nothing but thugs in uniform.
Continuing 77 south, just past
A bunch of white supremacists. And they got these damn Negroes going right along with them.
Units up there that are coming up on Lover's Lane, he's coming up on your left side just now. Take caution, he was grabbing for a gun, he did fire a shot out the side of the door. Alright, 24, we got 2 units in front of us.
Don't look like they're going too fast for me.
Or we take off here. We're gonna be getting off at the Archwood exit. Speed at 65 miles per hour.
I bet. Look, I got respect for them, but they just doing wrong. And we supposed to have law and order, but they not following the own laws that they supposed to be enforcing. They supposed to protect and serve, not murder.
You're going to go southbound on Neptune, speed are 30 miles per hour. There's no traffic on this road.
The Bible do say you're supposed to respect authority, but they taking it out of control.
Southbound on Oakwood, speeds are 15 miles per hour, approaching Cypress.
And you do know the reason why the police were first organized. It came from the slave catchers back in the day. You're right, even damn Negroes. A bunch of what? House niggas.
Speeds are approximately 25 miles per hour. Still westbound on Wilbit, passing Glen Mount. Speeds are 55 miles per hour.
But you know, I thought they had those spikes that you could throw in the road that would flatten the tire if a person wouldn't stop.
We're still westbound on Wilbit. We're passing Evergreen. We're heading towards Maine. Looks like we have some units up ahead at the intersection of Maine. He's slowing down here, slowing down.
Here we go. Wow.
I can ask our community members to please stand with me for just 1 second.
There's no way you can justify that.
There's no doubt that the video you just watched is extremely disturbing and will stir a lot of emotions and feelings. Shocking and hard to take in. But what we are collectively calling for is peace this afternoon. It's the same thing Mr. Walker's family is calling for, and it's the ask of everyone standing here with me in the community. Peace for our city, peace for our community, and peace for our residents. Thank you. Thank you.
I understand the public's demand for information now. I understand that. I have questions that I want answered now. However, I echo the Walker's family's request for patience.
Does he really want to have his questions answered?
We keep going back to the Walker family. They're requesting patience, peace, and to allow the process to run its course. Since Monday morning, information about this shooting has been disseminated through various outlets. I would encourage people to wait for BCI to conclude their investigation, submit their investigation to the Attorney General's office, and then the grand jury. The damage of spreading misinformation can cause irreparable harm. So before we receive BCI's final report, I would like to get some facts stated
I guarantee you they ain't gonna do a damn thing to them officers.
Because I've seen a lot of misinformation circulated. As you've already heard, there were 8 officers who were directly involved in the shooting. All officers have been placed on paid administrative leave as per department policy, and which is routine when officers involved in a deadly
And getting paid while they off.
force situation. That's standard across the nation. We do not know the exact number of rounds that were fired. Again, this is something that BCI will discover in their examination of evidence. However, based on the video, I anticipate that number to be high. A lot of rounds were fired. And I will not be surprised if the number at the end of the investigation is consistent with the number that has been circulating in the media. But right now, we just don't know. While BCI needs to confirm the number of times Mr. Walker was shot, the ME's report indicates over 60 wounds to Mr. Walker's body. However, they are still working to determine entrance and exit wounds, and this investigation on their end will take time. It will take time for them to determine how many times Mr. Walker was actually shot. And that work to make that determination is the responsibility of the medical examiner. And
They know how many times that boy was shot.
The gun recovered from Mr. Walker's vehicle. At the time of the shooting, he was unarmed. Lastly, after the shooting ends, Akron police officers went to Mr. Walker and diligently provided first aid to save his life. One officer on a body cam footage can be heard saying he still has a pulse. As the officers were getting ready to put him into a police car to get him as quickly as possible to the hospital, Akron paramedics arrived on scene. They took over aid, and unfortunately, Mr. Walker tragically passed at the scene. Okay. Lieutenant, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Love to travel.
We're going to start by allowing each media outlet present to ask at least one question. We ask that you speak loudly so that your voice can not only be heard in this room, but also as part of the live stream that we're providing for the community. Understand again, and it's already been stated by the chief, that there are some questions that they
Told you they're gonna always put that damn nigga up there in front of the camera.
investigation, and also to preserve that the integrity of the investigation. Some questions may not be answered for that reason. So at this time, I'll open up for questions. I am going to move intentionally to my left to right. We're going to ask one question each, and then we're going to move through the room from left to right. Okay? We'll open it up at this time. Anybody? Sir?
Thank you, Lieutenant. Question for the police chief. At this point in time, based on what you've seen, chief, and understanding the investigation is almost less than a goal, after seeing this very exciting video, what is it to you, or for you, what's the most concerning thing in the footage that you've seen so far?
It's the same thing that's most concerning to everybody else that just watched it. I'm going to say this. When an officer makes the most critical decision in his or her life as a police officer, it doesn't matter where in the country this happens.
When we go out there and protest, they try to say we're doing something wrong.
When they make that most critical decision to point their firearm at another human being and pull the trigger, they've got to be ready to explain why they did what they did. They need to be able to articulate what specific threats they were facing, and that goes for every round that goes down the barrel of their gun. And they need to be held to account. Right now, as you pointed out, we're in the early stages of the investigation. The officers have not been able to provide a statement yet. I am reserving any sort of judgment until we hear from them. Just last night, I spoke with the union president, and he told me that the officers are fully cooperating with the investigation.
I have a question.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Chief, the attorney for the family, Bobby Pacello, says that he spoke with you and you told him and you told members of the legal team and members of the family that based on your viewing of the video, that you had not seen evidence that Jalen Walker did anything threatening that precipitated the gunfire. Your response to that?
So I've watched this video more times than I care to, but I've watched it at least 40 times. When you see it in real time, it's very hard to distinguish what Mr. Walker is doing. In the still photos, there's a picture that appears to all of us that Mr. Walker is going down to his waist area. There is a photograph that appears Mr. Walker was turning towards the officer, and there is a picture of his arm. At the crime scene, after the officers were involved in the shooting, they immediately get sequestered from one another, and they are monitored. When the investigative team arrives, they each officer, independent of each other, related that they felt that Mr. Walker had turned and was motioning and moving into a firing position. So, again, BCI is going to do the investigation. I'm not prejudging it, and I'll leave it there.
Please.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to understand a little better the gunshot from the car. Was there a bullet
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
The other part is, was the gun found in the magazine removed from the car?
Yes, the way in which that picture depicted where the gun was located and the way and the manner in which it was placed. Officers are approaching the car on their body-worn camera, and it's capturing it as they are approaching. After the shot was fired, after the shooting occurred, we went back to the scene where we believe the shot was fired. A casing was discovered at that location, consistent with the firearm that Mr. Walker had in his vehicle. BCI will determine whether or not that casing came from the gun or not. And again, independent of anything we did, the ODOT camera captures what we believe to be a muzzle flash coming out of the car. Again, BCI will be determining whether or not that in fact is the case. Right.
Chief, as far as the chase goes, and wondering if this could have been avoided at all, could you talk at all about the protocol of the chase and the point of the gunshot being fired? Does that cancel any opportunity to call this chase off because of the gunshot?
Thank you for that question. It's a great question. So the initial attempt to stop Mr. Walker, as you heard on the audio, was for an equipment violation and for a traffic violation. I'm not exactly sure what the equipment violation was or what the traffic violation was. We will find that out, or BCI will discover that during their investigation. What was going to be a routine traffic stop, which would probably result either in a warning or a citation being issued, turned into a pursuit. As Mr. Walker turned onto the entrance ramp to Route 8 and the shot is fired, that changes the nature of the contact. 40 seconds after the initiation of the traffic stop, a half a mile from the location of the traffic stop, you hear the gunshot and then everything else that I've just discovered. And again, that changes the whole nature of the traffic stop. It went from being a routine traffic stop to now a public safety issue. And then the pursuit continued. Yes.
Have the officers involved viewed any of the video before they made their statements?
They have not given statements yet, to my knowledge. And again, that part of my answer is us walling ourselves off from the investigation, and that will be determined by the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Sure.
Chief, the initial officers on that approach to the car deployed tasers. Can we read into that? Does that mean they didn't see it as a lethal threat? What were they seeing if they chose to grab a taser versus their firearm?
I don't know. I'm not going to respond to that because it would be speculation. The officers will be given an opportunity to explain their actions. Sir.
Yes, Chief, in 2012 in Cleveland, they had a sort of famous incident where 137 shots were fired into a car of unarmed people after a chase and received a lot of publicity. I'm curious if that incident, 137 shots into unarmed people which killed them in that incident, if that changed policies at all, either in the Akron department or other departments around the country.
So when that shooting occurred, I wasn't here in Akron. Right. I just got here last August. And you know, I'm trying to go back in memory. I can't recall exactly what we did as a profession following that, but I can tell you that we train in this police department. We go above and beyond in the police academy, the minimum required hours of training.
They always dance around the question.
When it comes to firearms. Additionally, we go above and beyond the minimum requirement by the state for annual qualifications. And so I really can't answer fully that question. Yeah.
This question kind of dovetails with that. Is there any kind of rubric or protocol when multiple officers are firing or how many rounds you fire when there's a several subject?
So officers are trained to, when they perceive a threat to themselves or to somebody else, that they are.
So they call that a threat?
Are authorized to use their firearm to stop the threat. And they are authorized to use their firearm until that threat no longer exists or it stops. And that is the standard. Young man at the back.
Chief, you mentioned several body cam.
Look at that damn Uncle Tom chicken pig noodle.
Videos, but is there also dash cam footage, and does any video cover the moment of actually attempting to pull them over?
So we don't have dash cameras in our fleet. No, sir. What was your second question?
Does any video record the actual moment where they attempt to pull them over for the alleged traffic infraction?
So again, everything that you saw right now is from body camera footage. We don't have dash cameras in it, and I'm not going to step into that part of the investigation. I will look to BCI to collect all that evidence. Sir.
You said you had.
Hang on 1 second. Go ahead, sir.
Chief, if you haven't had a case before, which I I'm not asking you to speculate on this case, but have you ever had why? Just your gut feeling when you saw this video, if it was as many as 90 shots as has been reported, and you can confirm that. Does that strike you as excessive?
I will say this, that it was difficult to watch and shocking, just like it is for everybody. I'm not passing judgment on the decisions my officers made. They will be given the opportunity to explain why they did what they did, as they should. In terms of your first question, I'm not going to speculate. Yes, I have seen that in my 33 years as a police officer, but I'm not going to go any further than that.
Chief, you said that you had questions yourself. What are they? What are your questions?
So I will reserve those for our administrative investigation. I'm not going to reveal those right now.
Why? Why not?
Because it would be in.
I'm tired of this damn shit show. So family, what y'all think about that? Give me y'all input on it. If you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, okay, my loves? We need to get this information out. It's just a shame how they just study killing up us melanated people or any people of color. You know, now I wonder if that had been a white man, would they have shot him 80 times? Shot at him 80 times? Would 60 bullets have entered his body? Give me your intake, my loves. Until later on, this girl, if it's Queen. Like, share, subscribe, and drop a girl a comment down in the box below. I say.